Okay, so it started live session. Let me pause it. Let me quickly check. It is started. I will check for video quality and audio. Hello, 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 hello. Can you hear me? I think there is a delay. Hello, hello. I think there is a delay. Perfect. So right now this is completely fine. I will keep it open for someone if joined. That's completely fine. If not, we will get started. So let me start. So those who are new, just quick referencing, you can simply go to our channel. Make sure you follow this one and you open the link. Simply go to GitHub because GitHub is really important here. Once you pick GitHub, go to this repositories SQL, then zero to hero, and this is all these things we are learning day to day wise. And I'm trying to keep a track of everything for our convenience. So let's go to roadmap. And in the roadmap today is we're gonna learn distinct and null handling. And those people who are new, let me tell you that we are using the official website of Postgres to learn about this concept one by one. So we need to learn about distinct and null handling. So let's see, is it something query can handle? Distinct, distinct, yeah, distinct is there. So distinct is there, and then we need to learn about query handling. This one null handling null. No, distinct where cross. This is not one. Data manipulation, query, data type, data operator, type conversion, index, full concurrency. How to find a null? SQL data definition. Does it have some null? Query privilege, overview, forecast. No, this doesn't. Distinct. Let's keep it here. This is query from where group by having windows selected list column label distinct reunion order by limit value list with query CTE common table expression metallized data modeling. This is not what we want. What we looking for is the null data definition. This is a constraint. We are looking for null. Partition schema privileges modification and constant, and here we found not null constraint, but we want to handle SQL definition. Okay, no, then then data manipulation. Nope, dude, what why is going there? Mm-hmm. Data manipulation varies. Still going there. Varies. Overview from where they select combine union intercept this value. There's nothing. Data type version and operator. Does it have null condition exists? Any more subquery merge aggregate in this one? Functional operator. This is very interesting, but I can't find it. But I'm looking for, and I am looking for What I'm looking for? I'm looking for null. Mm, Null handling. So P PG exercise. This is null handling. Does it have null handling getting started? Postgres handling null values. I think Colas is the one. Is it something this is looking for? Null handling, dealing with null is important. How to handle the null. PG. Does it have null handling or not? I guess. Postgres PG tutorial is null operator. Distinct is fine, but where is null? How should null be addressed? Is a constraint or something? Bug SQL features. Introduction, views, foreign key, transaction, window function, inheritance, and this one. SQL language. Concept, creating, populating, join, aggregate, updation, delete. Getting into syntax. Okay, lexical constraint operator, special character. I think special character. Okay. Then column reference, positional parameter, subscript, field function, bycast, collision, function, scalar, so query this one. Syntax. I think it should be queries if I'm not wrong. Null handling, but it's not here. Data type, obviously it won't be here. Uh, Function and operator, mathematical, null, conditional, null if case. Case. If you go beyond the capabilities of this expression, you might consider case, and these are conditional expressions. Null if, null if this value, null if function 1 is then function 2, function 1, and coalesce. Coalesce function return the first of its argument that is not null. The return description, null if function return a null value if this equals to this. Null if function return a null value if otherwise it will return value 1. It can be it can be used to perform inversion operator of oh, I need null handling, right? Null handling, how to handle a null. So page extreme null handling. Null handling Postgres covered exercise at the page exercise and page consent. Operation is null operator. Okay, try this one. Expression is null profile is not null. I think they should have it somewhere, but index installation binary then lib SQL command references conventions bug beekeeping, it is status syntax. I can't believe it, like they don't have any of the null kind of a thing. Extending is equal to trigger, event trigger, rule PG. This is something we don't need to bother. Indexing for guide, database managing, management clients are still administrative. You have to learn this much. 5, 6, 7. How come function and operator? I think operator should be the one I should find it. Pattern matching binary is there is null. There's only one null. Okay. How come it's not there? Dude, like I am where null handling is not there. How is it possible? Like null handling is not there. Okay, if not there, I will look for some other place. I think I will give this as a. Sometimes if you don't have, you can't do anything. Installation, database rule managing. There's a server administrative like this differences. This is. Mm. Mhm. Okay, so I will use this as a reference for null. Let's remove this one. And then I will use select list and this one. Distinct. So today we're gonna do about distinct. But before we do it, we need to do a revision as per our logic. So now we can get started with the logic. So day 16 we learn about a very powerful concept. What that powerful concept is, if you remember, that's good. If not, I will tell you. So we learn about order by, right? We learn about the order by. This is interesting. And then we learn about the nulls first and last. Now, order by, apart from order by, what else we learn? Let me check on this one. Limit and offset. Yep. Limit and offset. Let me tell you about this one. So as we know in database management system, if entities are coming, okay, so I told you your building is your database, okay, and when the building is created, by default one floor is created, that is called public schema or public floor. Schema is nothing but floor. When you can create multiple floor, multiple schema based on the requirement, or the or gathering the similar or relatable table or data set in a same floor. So floor is a schema. Then in every schema there will be cabinets, empty cabinets, and there will be empty trays. This tray can have as many as partition that you need, and every partition will represent what it will represent. It will represent the detail or the attribute of an entity. So tray represent an entity that is completely blank at the moment, and then you decide it. Then you will decide how to put this one. So when you write create here, create table, the table name, you are basically creating this empty cabinet. When you write the details of this one, the column name, column type, and the condition, column name, column type, the condition, and all this thing, you're basically creating that play. This one. Like suppose you created four attributes, so basically it will have four division. Initially, it will be empty, right? Outside. So all, since we already know all the entities are similar and have the same attributes, so every entity will have the same way. or every entity that the tree represent will have the same structure. So it's outside. So suppose you insert one data with these values, you simply slide in. So if you see this particular structure is same for every entity, that means the column is fixed. But when you slide in, you insert into this one, it can slide it in any series. You can put the first one in the first and second in the second. Then you can put the third in the fourth position and the fourth in the fifth position and fifth in the third position. So the way the entities is stored, there is no sequential order. Okay, because of architecture, maybe XYZ reason, but this is how it is. So when you retrieve this data using select statement and from statement or from keyword, it will retrieve the data randomly. But if you want to have the same sequence or particular sequence, because you want to run this query again and again, seeing how your system is changing, the data is changing based on certain parameters, then you can what the data that is coming out for you, you can simply make sure that it is always sorted. Sorting is done by order by, then you put certain condition here. And based on this one, it will sort this entities in this table and give us values. So here order by you can sort on two things. First one is identifier. The second one is based on expression. And there is certain rule on this one that we need to understand. Okay. First thing, the priority to find the column value is from this list, and then it will go to the remaining column that is not part of the select list. Okay, so how it comes, let me tell you, like for when you run this for statement, bring all this column A, B, C, D. Okay, it bought the A, B, C, D, but the user want only A and B, not C and D, right? But the column C and D is also available. It's just the virtual table you are creating on top of this virtual table that is visible to the user. It's A and B column, but C and D is there, but it's not visible to the user. Now when you write identifier simply like column name A, B, C, D, what it does, it goes here and check for column name and alias. Okay, so if I wrote like here C and I wrote A and B, there's nothing C, right? So then they will go C and D, and based on the C they will short this thing, first thing. But if I write A as C, now it will short based on A. Very good. Now in the expression, you wrote C plus 1, you are adding a value. Now it is an expression. Now C has to look for column name. It cannot take alias. No matter what the reason is, it cannot take. So in expression, it is mandatory to look for column name, not the alias name. But when it's identified, it can look for both. Now C plus 1, it will see its alias, it will skip it, base skip it, that it will go here plus 1, and then it will start this one. So suppose A and C was like this 1, and B was like A, B, C, and this 3 to 1. Okay. On the first condition, it will look for C, so we wrote A as C, right? So it will sort based on A, 2, 3, and A, B, C. That's the user will see. But now C plus 1, it will look for column, right? Because I did alias now. It will go here, it will plus 1, 4, plus 1, 3, plus 1, 2. Now it will sort based on this one. So this one will come first. So now 3C will come on the top. Then 2B will come on the second, and the last will be 1A. You see, only adding a one thing and the entire function change, complete change, right? And this is the logic that you need to understand. Now, once we have a data set after order by or by sorting, but you find it like the data maybe in billion or trillion, you don't want that data. You want to show someone certain amount of data. So what you did, you simply write limit 5. So only first 5 records will be available for data seeing, or it will be available for user to see. But now the thing is like you want on 5 records, that's fine, but you don't want the top 5. You want the next 5. So what you did, you want to skip first 5 record that came, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this skipping is done using offset 5. So this is what we learned in yesterday, and I already told you the nuances that I found it. Okay, and today we're gonna learn about two major key keywords. First one is distinct. Second one is null. That is unknown or empty. As I told you, that tray, right, example is empty, or if you want to fill, you want to put an object that describe the attribute or describe the characteristic of that tray or element. Let's quickly go here. What is it? Listing line. Now let's go to listing. So what is select list? So we already saw that one. So the last complete final virtual table that user will see, that definition is for select list, nothing else. Now distinct, what it does, suppose the user virtual table, the which user required virtual table that gonna come and user will see, suppose have a duplication. Okay, it has a duplication. Let me give you an example. My actual table A had the column A, B, C with value 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, then 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Okay. If you look from ABC combination perspective, every combination is unique, right? It is not repetitive. But my user want to see A and B, only A and B. He don't want to see C. He don't want to see ABC as a combination. So what is the result? My user will get 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. And he's like, the values are repeating. I don't want that. I just want only 1, 1, and 1, 2. Distinct value of these two. Okay, I want distinct, very unique values. Okay, so how it does? It does through something called distinct. It, it eliminate the duplication or the same value being repeated. It just keep one and stop other. Now let's read. After the select list has been processed, the result table can optionally be subject to elimination of duplicate rows. That was I'm talking about. It can be subjected to elimination of duplicate row. The distinct keyword is written directly after select to specify this. Instead of distinct, the keyword all can be used to specify the default behavior of returning all the columns. Obviously, two columns are considered distinct if they differ in at least one column value. Null value are considered equal in this comparison. This is interesting. This is literally interesting. Let me tell you why I told you. If you remember our unique keyword, right? Here, multiple rows with null is allowed because condition says value should not be repetitive. That means if I have a column again, this column, right? ABC. If I have this column ABC here and I wrote ABC as a unique, so when this record come, it will look if it has 111. No, it doesn't have. So it will look for this one. It has 112. It look at this one because right now this is only available at this point, right? It move here. No, it is not. Then it move here and start selecting this one. Okay, no. Now it insert 1 to 1. It check. Do we have 1 to 1? 1 to 1? No, this is unique. This one then no. It was fine. Then come null, null, null. We look for null null combination. No. Then again come null null null. It will look for again null null. You see here, here. What it says, it look like same, but problem here is we told you that null when compared with the null is always null. But what it says, the unique, when you compare, it's not repetitive. When you compare a value, it does not give you true value. If it doesn't give the true value, then it's a unique value. It work on the negative list. When I compare these two, it gave me null on comparison. It doesn't give me true. That means it's a unique value, right? So it become a completely different entity. But when you allow the distinct, what is say? It send me one row, one column. Okay, that value cannot be repeated even if its null is there. So here null is treated as value. So if I have like here one null, okay. If I have the combination of A and B as a unique, it will be one null and one null is right. But if I apply distinct on this, it will give me only one null. One will be dropped. And the reason is simple. Here the null is treated as a value. Okay? Null value are considered equal in this comparison just for it will consider as equal. Alternatively, an arbitrary expression can determine what the rule are to be considered distinct on. What are alternatively it an ar- arbitrary expression can determine what row can be considered distinct. Here expression is an arbitrary value expression that is okay, so let's take a break of 5 minutes and we will come back and we'll start. Let me check if somebody joined. Somebody unsubscribed me. That's fine. So it was 7, now it's 6. It's fine, it happens. Okay, 3 minutes. It's in the report. Okay, so nobody joined. I lost one subscriber. 7 to 6, that's fine. Okay, this is not a big deal. Big deal is okay, this is the one. So null values are considered equal in this comparison. That's really important. So alternatively, an arbitrary expression can be determined on what row are to be considered distinct. For example, here expression is an arbitrary value expression that is evaluated for all rows. A set of row for all of expression are equal or considered duplicate, and only the first row of the set is kept in the output. Note that the first row of the set is unpredictable unless the query is shorted on enough column to guarantee a unique ordering of the row arriving on this one. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So either I can do distinct on this one, or I can use distinct on, and then I can provide an expression. Interesting. And then it can give me a result. Is it possible that I do? Let me see if I can do it here. So if I write select star from sample, right? Let's execute this one. So ABC is there and there is no duplication so far, but I want a duplication now. Now let's see, I duplicate the same values here, but I don't want this thing. I just want to run 1 and 3. If I run this one now, I can see this got duplicated, right? This is the duplicate. So now instead of this one, if I write select ABC, right? A comma B comma C. Let let me run this. So now if I write select distinct A comma B comma C from sample, what is gonna give me? So these two gonna drop because this two is already there. It is distinct. Right, it does give me that. But I don't want this one. I want to run this one again. And now I got it. Now I want this thing to be on expression. Oh, how could I keep it right? 2 multiplied 2, 4, 6, 2. I need to delete on an expression. And I want to delete A and B in such a way. So, uh, 3 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 4, 3 plus 1, 4, 3 plus 1. Okay, so now if you see, if I add this to let me run one more thing. So you know that do I can simply run a select statement without tracing to a table, right? For expression evaluation. So I write A comma B comma C, and I put one more column as E from sample, but we will hold a value such as A plus B. This is something I want. Okay, I want something called A plus B. Now I run it. What it shows? No operator matches the given name and argument. Okay, A plus B. Why this? Why is not giving me A plus B as? Am I simply evaluating, right? Oh, correct. A plus C, right? See, everything is one. This one, right? Now I want now I want to distinct on this ID, right? Right one. To select distinct on A plus C, and then give me A, B, and C from sample. So what it shows, okay, so I don't need this one, and then yep, because it's not a column, it's a condition that I'm applying, and it gave me now only one record. This one. I want distinct on A comma C, and now it gave me only this one. But I can do A comma B, A comma C, then again it will give me the same, right? Hello, hello. So I can put an expression on distinct using on condition. And this is more interesting than I thought. Can I agree? Sorry. So let's remove this distinct. And now I will show you one interesting. So now if you multiply 3 into 4, let's multiply this one. This give me more interesting result. See, it gave me 3. It gave me 4, right? This 2. And then this 2. And this, right? Now I will run the distinct on this distinct this one. Instead of running this one, I will run distinct on C A multiply by D C. Now it gives me only two results. Interesting, right? So distinct you can apply on the column, or you can apply on a on an expression for each the entire row, like each one, each record. It will see whether the value is distinct or not for the condition. But as I told you that null is acted as a value in the testing. So that means if one value, if null is there, it will act as same as A or as any value. So that's distinct. And there is nothing more here. Hmm. Now then we can get started with the other one. Let's me see if you have any questions. No question. Let me quickly deep dive on nulls. Okay, detecting null is null replacing value with class. So null if uh, we don't need to go. Ordering is done. I don't need to do. Aggregate. I don't need to do. Unique constraint, and I think we already done it. I think what we're gonna do is deducting null, replacing null with a coalesce. I think coalesce is there again. Uh, coalesce. Okay, so coalesce we do it, and null if we do it. Case statement we don't have to do it. Case, yeah. Null if, okay, null if. So in the null handling, we're gonna use three. We're gonna learn about deducting null, then replacing null, and null if. Case statement something we're gonna learn in the future, so we don't need to bother of this. So we're gonna do top three, and it will sort out the things. Okay. So what do you think? We will start with null detection, then null replacement, and then null conditional. Okay. So let's start with the detecting null. So as I told you, null represent empty. You remember I told you that the table is like your cabinet, empty cabinet, and your entity is like a tray that you can build based on your requirement. And every partition in the tray is represent the space where you can put the attribute or the entities attribute or the information object. Okay, if you have two ID and name, right? So two partition is created, and this way is a blueprint for other entities as well, because every entity is similar and they have the same what attributes. So now ID and name here, right? So ID, you put an object with the name one, and name, you don't have a name right now, so you keep it. So what is empty? So that means if it is empty, it cannot be compared with any else, right? So if you write in there are multiple entity slabs in it, and you want to get the count of entities of the tree which have this section or this partition as empty or null, you can simply go and write that select everything from this table where this name equals to null. No, I told you null is empty. Empty, you cannot compare empty with equals and because equal work on values. So there is a special operator that bypass. So basically that means the same is name is null. So it will give me true or false based on the value. So suppose this have a name, so it will give me false. It will drop. It have the name. It will give a true value, a false value. It will drop. Then here it is actually null is empty. It will give me true value, and this particular tray or this particular element that represent this tray will pass. Perfect, right? Yep. So now what we have to do, once this is passed, then we can do count or whatever we want to do. So to check particular identifier or particular column or attribute or the partition inside the this entity tray is empty, you use the keyword is null or is not null. It's the reverse of this one. Okay, yeah, simple. Is null and is not null. Now let's take an example. Suppose instead now let's remove the distinction and other things. Let's put it here. Okay. So now that we got all this thing, let's go here. Now the thing is like instead here we will create this thing again. Time being. Okay, let's run it. So we got three columns. If we write, I told you that don't use the star, use the proper column name if it's not long enough. Okay, so now let's run it. We got this ABC, right? We got this thing. Now I want is rather than this one, I want to put it here as null. And I told you before. And here, if you don't put it, always default will be null. It always done like this. Default. It is the null. Okay. So now I want to check in this tree, the in this cabinet the trays we put like this tree number one, tree two, two, this right. this one, I want to know which particular entity have the PS null, right? Simply you will be like, okay, this is the select statement. It will retrieve every record one by one. But I want to only allow a filter through p value is null. Now, what I told you, it's gonna fail, and reason is very simple. It won't have anything like true, right? What it allow fail means like it won't throw an error. It won't give any result. Reason is simple. P equals to null means you are comparing a value with emptiness. It will give null. But where clause only take true value. No statement gonna pass, no matter what. Even for null to null, it will be null. Value to null is will be null. So every time is a null and where clause allow only true value, right? That means this is not right because I saw there's a null. Because this operator itself is wrong. And to say if B is empty rather than B equals to null value. No. B is empty, so B is null. That's something we are looking for. Now we got the result. But again, I don't now I want to see the result which have value. So it's not null. And we got the result, right? So simple. It's interesting but simple. Now this is the one. Second one is replacing null value. So what happen? We need to use collage. If there are multiple values and you want to put a default value in case all the values come null, then you use coalesce. What coalesce does, it gives you the first non-null value in the sequence. Simple. So coalesce give you first null value. So now here, right here, we were reading select A comma B comma C from sample, right? We were running this. Let's run this. Now when we're running, we saw B is null, and that's something I don't want. Like my suggestion is simple. If B value is coming null, I want to replace it with something else. So what I do, instead of writing this, I wrote coalesce for A's, okay, and I wrote B. So if I got the B value, it will take B. In case it's null, it will search for the second value. If the second value in this sequence is null, it will third, and so on until it got the last. Suppose I wrote null. Okay, now right, same right. But I wrote behind, right, wrote here because it can take one character, right? I can pick more than like the A B, right, it will fail. How come character is allowed here? Because only one character is allowed as per the logic, not text. See, only one is allowed. Anyways, what I want to do here, B. So in case if the value for a column B is null, I want to put a default value as default, like this. But I'm not sure how it is allowed because I allowed for char one. Oh, that's inside the table. If I try to insert, it will fail. But this is an output. Output can have any value because I'm not determining any this way. It will take automatically text. It makes sense. It makes sense to me. Okay, now see it should be default. Coalesce what it does, it take a series and return you first non-null value from left to right. That's how we end up. Third thing is conditional null. That is interesting. Now, there are times when you want to check if a value is null or not on a condition basis, not like is null or something, because that's something you cannot use everywhere. You write null if because you want to adjust a value. You are not checking the value, you are basically adjusting a value. So what happens simply, you're replacing a value. There's a difference here. First one is checking a value condition, that is null. Second one is to replace a value in a series when first null not is represented. Okay. Third one is like when you check a condition and it's true, then you replace the entire section with the value null. If not, it will automatically keep the same value. Let me give an example here. Select We told you it will run individual select if. Now I put null, okay, and I put 0 and 0. See, I run this one. Now both are equal in terms of value, right? Magnitude. What it will give me? It will give me null. Null. Okay. If I put 1, it will give me 0 now. 0. So null if what it does and coalesce, they are almost same, but not exactly same. So coalesce is when we have a sequence of values and I want to return the first non-null value, I use coalesce. But I want to do is something called if a value is null, because I cannot compare null with a null, it will fail. Okay, if the value I have a value that I want to check and I don't want it to be a specific value, as it will create a issue for me. In that case, I want to replace it with null. That makes sense. For example, if I do 1/0, then that means I divide a value 1 with 0. It's not right, right? That's not possible. That should not be happening. So that denominator, I can check if denominator value equals to 0 at any given point of time. It has to be replaced with a null. So this conditional replacement is can be done using null if. Okay. So coalesce and null if. So null if work on two values. One is the actual value, second one is that I want to compare with. In case both are equal, it will throw null. If not, original value come. Coalesce work on sequence. It work on two value, it work on sequence. It will keep a sequence and at the end you can put a default value and it will give you first non-null value. Okay, and is null is not null, check the condition true and false whether is null or not null, whether the value or the corresponding expression is giving null or not. I think that's it. Shorting, we already done it. So null takes the highest form of value in magnitude, so it always comes at the end or at the first. If it's increasing ascending, it will be at first. If it's decreasing descending, sorry, if it's ascending, it will be at the bottom because it's the biggest value. And if it's descending, it will be at the top. But you can change it by nulls first, nulls not. Automatically, it will put the null at the bottom or null at the top, irrespective of ascending and descending. So that's not a big deal. Nulls last and first. So that's why we don't have to do anything. And I think with this we can wrap almost today's video because there's nothing much to do on this one. Tomorrow is gonna be much more interesting because we're gonna cover count some like average, mini and max. That's five gonna be giving much more headache than anything. In group by having like in operator and then with this wrap it will wrap the follow video. So let's see if there is any doubt or anything here. So we don't have anything to say here. It was not much to do on this one, and this one was only one thing that was interesting. For here, the interesting part was distinct and distinct on, and for null, it was is null not null to for filtering condition or to get a conditional value, boolean value, and then to replace it or to get the first null value and or to replacement this one. And then if I have to check a condition if it's true and to then return a value as null, then null if I have to use. So that's interesting. Yeah, I think then pretty much done on this one. There's nothing more.